Good morning. So we are leaving the house today. So it's day 4 of my vacation, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. Video just went live this morning. It's Thursday and I've spent the whole week at home not doing anything very productive. Other than filming and editing, I've just been playing a lot of BeatStar and getting on my phone and online ordering Christmas presents. So I was feeling a little bit like I need to get out of the house. It's a beautiful day. I want to go to the garden center because word on the street is there has been a drop of a wish list plant of mine, a plant that I'm not super confident in keeping alive. I've not had the best luck with this plant, but you're gonna see later if I manage to find it. And I also need to go buy some hot chocolate ingredients, which I want to do with you guys today because about a year ago, Charmaine sent me this TikTok recipe of a hot chocolate, which is just so good. It's so like Christmassy tasting, and it's like a very decadent, rich, delicious hot chocolate that I've been making a lot. This, I can see, I don't want my neighbor to see me vlogging in my car. So we need a couple of ingredients for that. I don't use TikTok. Apparently this hot chocolate is like, hi. Apparently this hot chocolate is based off of Polar Express, which is one Christmas movie that I have no intention of watching. For some reason, when it came out, the animation and like just the way that the characters look always looks like super creepy to me. So I've heard so many good things about this movie and it's like a core Christmas classic, but I just have no intention to watch it. So I'll take his word for it. It's based off of Polar Express. It's a really delicious hot chocolate. Yeah, I think what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna head to the garden center. I might film a little bit there on my phone if there's not too many people, but if it's a lot of people, there's no chance I'm not getting my phone out. We'll come home, we'll make some hot chocolates, and then I'll show you some new plants I've gotten. So like anything I pick up from the garden center, and I've also gotten a few new plants from Jing and Aaron, and then maybe I'll just show you some like highlights of some growth updates in the plant room. So I think that's about it. My car is sufficiently warm now, so let's get going. We're home. So I already started making the hot chocolate and I realized that my mic wasn't turned on, so we're starting over. Starting from scratch. I'm gonna show you the ingredients that we're working with, and then I'm gonna be so basically what I was saying the first time is that like I drink hot chocolates every day in December, and like I don't always do this recipe because it's kind of labor intensive. Like you need to get out a bunch of stuff and make it from scratch. But I only do this hot chocolate usually when there's 2 people. So I'm gonna have way too much hot chocolate making it for myself, but that's fine. I'll deal with it. And I only do it when I'm like watching a Christmas movie. First time I ever made it, I was watching The Grinch and it was snow outside. It was beautiful. This hot chocolate is so good. So anyways, starting over, I already started making the whip, but I'll show you what ingredients you need for the hot chocolate part. So obviously you need milk, and then you need chocolate. I just got this big hunk of chocolate from Walmart, so it's like Belgian milk chocolate. But like sometimes you'll get like these big hunks of chocolates from people like as gifts that's like branded, or you know, like it's not good enough a chocolate just to eat on its own because it's not that yummy, but in a hot chocolate it'd be really useful. You know what I mean? Relatable? No? And then you'll need condensed milk. I'm using the Rooster brand. Doesn't matter which one you use. Instant coffee. You could use actual coffee, but you need so little of it that it's not worth making coffee just for this. But if you had just some coffee made and you were also making hot chocolate, so you could do that. And then for the whip, you just need whipping cream, obviously, and some sugar. So I already started making the whip, but it's not done yet. It's still pretty liquidy. So while that goes, we're gonna open Huxley's advent calendar, which is like my favorite time of the day. Huxley, you're so patient. Is it advent calendar time? Sorry if the stand mixer is really loud in the background. So I got these from a raw food company here in Vancouver called True Carnivores. I think they started this new this year. This is like 20 bucks and there's 6 types of treats in there. Come here, Hux, over here. What day is it today? We've missed a few days. Today is, wow, we've missed like 3 days. Let's open up 13. What is in 13? Beef lung. Gus, very good boy. Huxley, you drooled. You never drool. Another one. Big one. Really big one. Good boy. I feel like we can open another one. We missed 2 days, didn't we? Let's open up 14th. 14th is little calamari bites. Can you bump it? Good boy. And look. Good boy. All right, ready? Touch. Good boy. Can you sit? Lay down. Roll over. Yay! Good boy. Should we open number 15? Don't tell Dad we opened 3 days in a row. Turkey bites. Okay, we're not gonna eat all of them. Oh, what else can you do? Oh, good spin. What else can you do? What else can you do? Spin again. What else can you do? Good boy. Oh, you're drooling, bud. Is it that yummy? All right. Christmas bumps. Yeah. Good boy. All right, I think the whip should be ready now. I think the whip is almost ready. So let's get started on the hot chocolate part. So about a cup of milk. I'm gonna put the fire on low. Into that, we're gonna break some chocolate. No chocolate. Okay, we're gonna whisk this for a while. Okay, so the chocolate looks pretty evenly melted now. In goes a nice big spoonful of condensed milk. And this really obviously it makes it sweeter and milkier, but it also makes it thicker and super rich. And then now the last thing we need is the coffee, which I have the kettle on for. And you don't actually taste the coffee. It just adds a little bit of extra dimension, so it's not just sweet and chocolatey. It just makes all the other flavors come out a little bit more. It's kind of like adding salt to something. So I'm just gonna heat this until it's almost simmering, but not quite. But I'm kind of looking at the texture. Once it gets this kind of viscous, shiny texture, then it's done. Again, you don't want it to be burning hot because burnt milk tastes gross. All right, happy with that. Cup. Probably gonna make a huge mess. Let's pour it. Oh God, here we go. Whip. Tons of whip. Oh my God, so much whip. 2 people's worth of whip. A little bit of cinnamon. Little bit of nutmeg. I just inhaled the cinnamon. Take 2. Oh, I got the chocolate that time. Mmm. Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna go enjoy this hot chocolate by the Christmas tree. Maybe play a little Beat Star. And then I'll bring you guys up to the plant room and I'll show you all my new plants. All right, I had to change because that sweater was so itchy and I'm still like scratching all over. This plant room is in need of a water. I don't know why I'm talking so loud right now. This plant room is in need of a water. I need to basically fill a bucket of nutrient water and just go to town. Why are we here again? Oh yes, I'm gonna show you new plants. So what I went to the garden center to pick up was a plant that I've been wanting for a while. Not like desperately wanting, but it's been a casual wish list plant for a year and a half. This used to be a very expensive plant. To my knowledge, it was never very expensive in Europe, but it has been in North America. So I think last year it was around like $400, $500 for a small plant. And I'd been hearing whispers of this plant being a wholesale option for a lot of plant stores. So I'm not super surprised that it was in the stores, but it was a very convenient location. It was just 5 minutes from my house. Little ficus shiverianas. Like I mentioned, I got three of them here. They were $22, which this garden center is quite expensive. They're like usually like 25% more than the other plant shops. So I feel like it would be probably like around the $15 mark elsewhere. I am so sure I'm gonna kill this plant. I mean, like, I feel like if I gave it greenhouse conditions, it's gonna do a lot better, but other like rubber tree varieties, I have a Tbsp and a ruby, and I've also used to have a burgundy, is that what it's called? Yes, burgundy. The burgundy died. The Tbsp and the ruby are still with me, but they're not really growing. They're just kind of existing. So I am a little bit scared of killing this one because it is like very highly variegated, and I haven't decided which one I'm keeping, but they're all very, very similar. I'll show you them together here. This one is quite cute. I'm very concerned about them having thrips because I think every nursery right now has thrips or mealybugs or spider mites or a combination of the 3. And I see like a lot of like red discoloration on it. I don't have enough experience with rubber trees to know what this is, but you see like here that like red kind of markings there. It kind of reminds me of like when you suddenly water a fiddle leaf fig and it gets that like red kind of like blistery looking stuff. That's kind of what this reminds me of. I'm very excited to have these, but these are obviously like very, very tiny tissue why do I want to say tissue cutlet? These are obviously tiny tissue culture plantlets, and they are so adorable. Oh my goodness. I think this is the one. I think this is my one. I'm gonna keep this one. See, there's this one and this one and this one. Which one did I say I wanted? Oh yeah, the middle one. I think I want this middle one here. What's the game plan for this? Because I'm not confident with this plant, I'm not confident with ficus in general. The only ficus that I have growing is the Ficus triangularis, just the green form, not the variegated form. That's the only one I have that's like actively growing. It's grown little tiny figs for me this summer. I feel like, let's see, the roots are so fine on this. So I think what I'll do is if I can find a bin to keep this in, and I don't know if I do have a bin, but if I could find a bin to keep this in, then I will just bin it for a little while with a grow light so it's quarantined from other plants, and then I will repot it into my soil and treat it for pests later once I've had time to kind of monitor it. But yeah, I was not planning on going and getting this today, but I've heard that this was in the store, and I'm glad that like my need to film a video today motivated me to get out of the house and get this plant. So yeah, this one's the one I'm gonna keep. I'm very happy with it. It's so cute. I don't really have anything with variegation like this. I really like how when they get bigger and like the foliage hardens fully, it gets like that minty look to it and is very, very like highly speckled and stuff. I think I'm gonna enjoy this a lot. This is gonna be probably like a month-long project to make sure it's safe to be with my collection, because like after the spider mites in this tent, which we're not 100% sure are eradicated yet, but after the spider mites situation, I am being a lot more careful with pests than I have historically. I've always kind of been very confident, or like I've always rested on the fact that I have systemic and therefore like whatever, it doesn't really matter, but systemic doesn't really work all the time. By the way, I wish you had smell-o-vision, because my plant room these days smells so good. There are a bunch of anthuriums in flower. So behind me, there's a forgetii in flower. Over there is a crystallinum in flower. Up in the exo, there's like a forgetii magnificum in flower. Over there is another forgetii in flower. So there's like a lot of aromas in here and it's very floral smelling. And I always say that forgetii inflows are just like the most beautiful scent. It's kind of like this like floral, but yet sweet and spicy kind of scent. If you haven't smelled it, and if you have forgetii, it's only a matter of time before it flowers, because I find forgetiis flower a lot. And I read in a Facebook group, I think it was, someone was saying like the forgetii flower stinks. It smells like old ladies. Respectfully, you're wrong and you have bad taste. And then I mentioned the other day when we went to Charmaine's house, we had like a whole bunch of plants swapping around, but I didn't get it on camera in my last video. I wasn't expecting to get all these plants that day. In fact, there are a few of them I think I had agreed to taking, but I totally forgotten about. And then a few were just like on the spot surprises. So Erin dropped by for a little bit because she had some plants that Jing and Charmaine had bought from her. And before she came, she just went into her tent and just like took a bunch of cuttings and brought them over. So I was lucky enough to get a couple of plants from her. The first plant is a plant that Charmaine and I had purchased for her at the Ecuador pop-up. She just gave us a budget and told us to just find a plant that we think she'd like, and we bought this plant for her. But since then I've always wanted one because it's just so beautiful. I didn't even know if this plant was growing well for her or not. I hadn't heard about this plant for a while, so I was kind of like pleasantly surprised to hear that it's kind of grown out of control. It was like touching the top of her tent. So she took a big cutting and then Charmaine and I split it. This is Philodendron Shibarichii. It's like, it's so puffy and so delicious and so shiny. I've already cut it into two. I'm not very confident about this for some reason. According to Jing and Erin, it took a really long time for them to root their plants when they imported it. And then after it was rooting, it was pretty easy going. I potted one in tree fern fiber and one in pon, and we will see. But so far, neither of them look great. I had calloused both of them overnight, so it would have been callousing for about 12 hours, and I don't know, I feel like I might have calloused a little bit too long. The tip of the stem got really, really shriveled, and it's a little close to the axillary bud, which I'm not loving the look of. And then also we have like a bit of yellowing on the edges. But yeah, I have two cuttings of this plant now. I haven't been collecting philodendrons that much lately, but this was one that I really, really, really like. But I'm not letting myself fall too hard in love with it yet, just in case they don't survive. But yeah, even on the fully hardened leaf, like it's still really glossy, and I think the texture is not like the thickest plant ever. It's not as thick as philodendrons can be, but it's like very just round and pillowy, and like the venation is so uniform. I think I'm gonna really enjoy this plant if it survives. Also from Erin, a Hoya polyneura, which I don't have. I only have the silver, so I don't have the green form. And it's so cute. It's putting on a new leaf, but I don't think this one is gonna survive. It might. I did repot it though, because she had it in this slitted pot. So I moved it mostly in the same pond into like a no drainage pot, just to make it easier for me to like put it somewhere, because I don't need a cache pot or like a tray for it. And I hope it does well. This is a Hoya I'm going to keep out of the cabinet, because my cabinet is, I think, full of flat mites. I'm not 100% sure, but I also have no space in that cabinet, the Hoya cabinet. So I think I'm gonna keep this out, although in saying that, out in the regular shelf there's mealybugs. What's worse, flat mites or mealybugs? They're equal worse. Another Hoya, this one is a Hoya Viola from Jing. I don't know what this one is gonna look like because I think this leaf is so deformed that it's not showing truly what the viola looks like. So I'm gonna pop a photo right here. She says this is a very easygoing one and a very easy grower. So I think this is just another one I'm just gonna like pop into my cabinet and see what happens. And I do plan on treating that cabinet for flat mites. I have been using sulfur spray on ones that I really think have flat mites, but I think every plant in there needs to get treated. And I think what I might try doing is using Safer's Endol, because Jing had recommended using Safer's Endol in lieu of sulfur because she tried it on a plant that had that like clustery flat mite growth. And soon after treating with Safer's, it just started growing like normally again. So she thinks that Safer's is a good treatment for flat mites. So I might actually do that because it doesn't look as ugly as sulfur. And sometimes like with the more textured Hoyas, it's hard to wash the sulfur off. But yeah, another Hoya, unexpected Hoya. And then lastly is just like two little anthurium seedlings. This is just more seedlings of the batch that of our hybrid. So my Forgetii, my dark form Forgetii, with like the muted veins. That one with her tofu anthurium, which we call tofu because it was growing in a tofu container, which is an unknown, maybe mag, Forgetii, Pappy, hybrid kind of thing. So I already had 3 of them here. So she had germinated a few more seeds and she just gave them to me. They've been growing quite slowly for me, but I don't really mind because my seedling shelf down here is getting crazy full. There's just so many Forgetii. I don't know what to do with them. Truthfully, I need to purge a bunch of them, but I'm just so lazy to like organize a purge. And then before I close off, I thought I'd just show you some random growth updates. So one update is that I've been planning on hybridizing my Pallidiflorum, my Anthurium Pallidiflorum, with something else, but I wasn't sure what I was going to cross it with or attempt to cross it with. So I was just waiting to see which inflow was ready and was lining up at the same time as the Pallidiflorum. And by the way, I don't expect this hybrid to work out, but I did try. There are a lot of discussion on how difficult it is to set seed on a Pallidiflorum, even like selfing it. So it's not even just like hybridizing with some different species. So what I ended up doing is I pollinated my crystallinum, or like my crystal mag hybrid. It's very crystallinum leaning hybrid with the Pallidiflorum pollen. So the Pallidiflorum inflow took a really, really long time to open up, and after opening up, it completely skipped the female stage, so it never produced stigmatic fluid. It kind of just went straight to male stage. Once the spathe completely opened, it just started to produce pollen. So it just so happened that like my crystallinum thing, my crystallinum adjacent anthurium, was receptive at the same time I was producing pollen. So I just grabbed a bunch of pollen from the Pallidiflorum and then I pollinated the crystallinum. So here's what it looks like when an inflow is receptive and it's in the female stage. You'll see little droplets of sticky fluid forming, usually starting from the base of the spadix, and they'll slowly start to produce more stigmatic fluid up to the tip. Sometimes it doesn't go all the way to the tip. So as soon as you start to see the droplets, you can start pollinating the base, and then the next day you can go in with more pollen and just kind of move your way up the spadix until you run out of pollen. So that's what I did with my hands. Grabbed Pallidiflorum pollen and then just ran it along the spadix of the crystal, and then a few days later I did it again once the Pallidiflorum had produced more pollen. So I won't know if this was successful or not, but the crystallinum has moved on to male stage. It's producing pollen, which can still happen even if it was a successful pollination. I don't plan on collecting any pollen because there's just, I don't think I want to hybridize this plant any further. So yeah. A few videos back, I repotted my Windlingeri into tree fern fiber soil mix, and I'm happy to report it freaking loves the new substrate. It started visibly rooting like within days of being transplanted. So many roots now. The new leaf has not like emerged or anything, so I think it's just focusing on root production at the moment. But I'm happy to report that it's not rotting back, it's not dying. I think we're in the clear now. Another little update in my plant room tour, very briefly, you might have missed it. Anyone who would have watched that super long video would probably have missed it, but my Dioscorea discolor, I was saying how it wasn't rooting at all. I've been keeping it in the same water this whole time, and I'm happy to report that we have roots on both of them. You see this one here also has roots. All I've done was just kind of keep it in the water and like not change the water. And look at this new little leaf. Is it not the most precious little thing ever? Very happy about that. I think I want the roots to get quite a bit longer, like at least several inches before I move it to a different substrate. If anyone's growing this plant, Dioscorea discolor, don't know if you're gonna be able to tell which plant it is by this leaf and this leaf. But if anyone is growing this plant successfully, let me know which substrate you find works best for this. I'm kind of leaning towards like a denser soil that's purely based on instinct and not any sort of knowledge about this plant. And I'm gonna need to get it onto some sort of support or like a trellis kind of thing. So I got this plant from a guy in our local plant group, Vince. So Vince, if you're watching this, success. As I'm looking around, I think I want to save some updates for future videos, so I think I'm gonna leave it here. I don't even know what this video was. We went to the garden center, we made a hot chocolate, then I show you some plants. Thank you guys so much for watching this video with no real identity. I hope you enjoyed it. I will try to find the creator of that TikTok that the hot chocolate was from, but since I don't have TikTok and I don't think you can search TikToks that easily, I can't make any promises, but no, it was not my recipe. But if you do make it, please let me know. There's nothing quite like a hot chocolate to get into the festive mood. I hope December has been treating you well so far. I cannot believe it's a week till Christmas. It's crazy. Someone left a comment saying that their favorite part of the season is the week after Christmas, which I've never really thought about it that way. That's the week where you're not worrying about anything. You're just enjoying the peace and quiet without shopping and like hosting and things like that. So I'm going to keep that in my brain and make sure that I enjoy that week just as much as I enjoy the week following up to Christmas. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a like. It would mean a lot to me. I hope you're staying warm and you're staying cozy. I love you so much, and I will see you back here on Thursday. Mwah.